Sausage.
Hello, everyone. This is the last call, the show where I, Mark Kuznez, plays games that are closing down to see what all the fuss is about. No, yes. This is where I play games that are closing down to see what all the fuss is about, to say it in a way that is maybe more understandable, potentially. But this here episode is all about Stampede Racing Royale, a battle royale-esque racing game, kart racer to be specific, where you start off with 60 racers and then you whittle it down to the final 20 and have a real regular old kart racing game, match, race, whatever you want to call it, to see who ends up on top. I played about 4 hours of this and had a pretty miserable time with it. It is an incredibly boring game. I'm surprised it survived as long as it did. Conceptually, it's not bad, and I guess with the announcement of Mario Kart World, which has been announced since playing the game, it wasn't announced when I played it, but it has been announced since recording this episode, and by the time you have watch this episode. Who knows when this episode comes out? For all you know, for all I know, this may come out right when Mario Kart World comes out. I should probably position it that way. But Mario Kart World has some form of this mode, because what Stampede Racing Royale essentially is, instead of it being, I mean, I guess you could call this a battle royale mode game for a racing type game. Game. It is more so just an extra large elimination game, where in your traditional elimination race, you would start off with, let's just say, 8 racers, and then after either each lap, if you're doing 8 racers, each lap would be a long race. So you would more so do it every 30 seconds or so. Every 30 seconds, the player in last place, they're knocked out, and so on and so forth until you have one remaining player. That's basically what this is, but instead of it being one long, drawn out match that goes on for a while and you're constantly losing the last 5 players or so on, it is set up in 3 rounds. So, first round, you have 60 players, then 20 are the last 20 are knocked out of that. So in round 2, you have 40 players. Then again, the last 20 are knocked out, and then your final round is of the final 20 players, and that's just a traditional kart racing race where you do your laps and whoever wins wins. That's all it is. And it feels way more akin to something like Fall Guys than a Fortnite or any shooter battle royale game, where you have your rounds, your select number of people get knocked out between rounds until you have your final round. And that's all there is to it, which is a fine formula for a game. I feel like, and this is the case with Mario Kart, it is something that is a nice additional mode, but as the only mode for a kart racing game, I don't know how sustainable that was, but I think it lasted longer than I would have expected. So it really comes down to the fundamentals of the game, the actual kart racing mechanics, the driving, the drifting, the power ups, and so on and so forth, the track design and all that jazz. And that is where Stampede really missed the mark. It is one of the most, if not the most boring kart racer I've ever played. And I played another kart racer for this series. I think it was Kart Racer Drift, a pretty generic title. I think it was a maybe Korean game. And that wasn't the best either, but it had a bit more personality. This is just incredibly slow. So if you're not boosting or on a track that has a lot of boost pads on the ground on the track, the base speed of the game is maybe slower than any other kart racer I've played. It is so unbelievably slow. But then what blows my mind about the racing is that you have your traditional boost pads and all that, and I think you can drag behind a car to gain boost. But when you're drifting, I think you get a very moderate boost when you come out of a drift, but it is so minuscule and it doesn't refill your turbo bar, your boost bar that I could at least see, that it makes drifting feel more non-essential in a car racer than I've ever played before. I associate drifting with kart racing so much and feel like it's such an important mechanic in car racers and something that differentiates the quote unquote normies from the more serious players, the casuals from the professionals. I mean, there should be some other space in between. You just have casuals and professionals, but I feel like drifting is what makes you go from just playing for fun and playing actually competitively. You need to learn how to drift. Just like in a fighting game, you would need to know how to counter, I guess. I don't know what you would need, but there's a difference between just button mashing and knowing combos and countering and frame breaking, whatever people do in fighting games. I'm not a fighting game person. It's too much for me. But the drifting is just pointless here and it doesn't feel good. The track designs were okay, I guess. And then the power-ups were all incredibly boring and felt utterly useless. Any offensive power-up just felt like an absolute waste of time. The only power-ups I cared about were if I got a turbo pack or a shield, and that's it. But even with the shield, it didn't matter because I felt like I was rarely ever being attacked by weapons. Even when it's the first round of 60 players and you would assume it'd be incredibly hectic, it it never felt that way. It was just boring from start to finish, from the way it felt, the way matches played out, and I won a handful of matches, but that never felt like I really did anything. I never felt this sense of accomplishment or achievement from winning a match, which is something that should be there. I feel like if you're not getting that dopamine hit, that satisfaction of feeling like you actually accomplished something, something is strongly missing. Because when I played something like Fall Guys, which I don't love, I enjoy Fall Guys more when I'm playing with friends. It at least gives me the company. But if I end up winning, I feel like I actually did something at least. But here, when I'd win, I'd be like, okay, I guess let's go again. I guess you have mild customization with your car and a leveling up system there, but it just left so little of an impression that even a few days after playing it, I struggle to think of anything to say about it because there's just no unique element to it. And in a genre that is pretty packed at this point in terms of maybe not so much in the free to play market, but we have one standout in Disney Speedstorm, which I feel like with Disney Speedstorm in that free to play space, unless you can really do something unique. And I guess trying to do some kind of battle royale is an attempt to find your slice of the market, and it just didn't work here. But Disney Speedstorm is so good and so polished, and it's Disney Speedstorm is maybe the best kart racer I've ever played. I have a soft spot for beach buggy racing, and I know a lot of people love Mario Kart. Obviously, it's never quite clicked with me. Fingers crossed for World. The Forza Horizonification of it makes me very not very excited, but it makes me excited about Mario Kart for the first time. But in addition to Mario Kart, Disney Speedstorm, you also have so many licensed premium games like Nickelodeon Racing, DreamWorks, Smurfs, so on and so forth. Garfield, I think, has one. You have Hot Wheels, which is kind of in that kart racing space ish. So it's a pretty packed genre, and you gotta find some niche in it. And Stampede just doesn't have any aspect of it that makes it stand out. The characters aren't, because you're able to customize them, and it's really just, hey, create a skin for you. Whereas at least in that kart racer drift game I played, you had a vast cast of characters. I feel like there were maybe 20 or more characters in there, and they all had unique elements to them, a unique personal power up to them, and that's not the case here. You're basically just an avatar. It's more like, again, Fall Guys, where you have your avatar and then you can just put a costume on them and customify your cart. But given what a car racer is, I feel like there should be that unique element to each individual racer that gives them some differentiating factor. It's understandable in Fall Guys because you don't want it's if Fall Guys is all about the gameplay and the obstacle courses themselves and getting through them and the silliness of the physics. And so if you can make your character look silly, that's fun. But in a car racer, it's nice to have something that's unique to your particular racer, and that there's none of that here. So yeah, Stampede Racing Royale. It was here, and now it's not here, and that is that, and that is that for this here episode of The Last Call, the the show where I play games that are closing down. I don't need to repeat that. Once again, though, I am Mark Krishnez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoy this here show or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. In addition to the Patreon, no, I'm so out of it, people. I'm so out of it. I'm getting mentally prepared for the next game I'm playing. But over at the Patreon, you can get access to a monthly Q&A, an occasional watch party, a private Discord channel, along with some fancy Discord roles, and the occasional drop on the Patreon here or there, depending on your tier. Or you can just support me to support me if that is your fancy. In addition to the Patreon, you can find links to the site, the YouTube, the Discord, and so much more over at pxsausage.com. That is the letter P, the letter X, sausage.com. But that is it. That is all. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. But for now, adios, arrivederci. Bye
It's
bye.
go time. Go ahead. It's go time.